Greetings, beautiful people. This is SB Favor Thinking Podcast, and my name is SB Favor. How are you doing today? It is Sunday, February 21st, 2021. Another day to be thankful and another day to focus on what is good. As I always say, if you focus on what is good, then you can project something good to happen. So focus on what is good today. We all have so much to be thankful for, and I hope that you would continue to pray for the people of Texas. They need our prayers, and so make sure you pray for the people of Texas. Also, if you are out there traveling about, make sure that you are wearing your mask and using your hand sanitizer to keep yourself safe. Keep that social distance, and please keep yourself safe and keep your family members safe. Also, I suggest that you give to Feed America, and if you would like to give to Feed America, please give at feedamerica.org. I suggest that you give to Feed America because Feed America provides resources for families across the nation that need food. And in this hour that we live, we must be kind. So please make sure that you give to Feed America at feedamerica.org. Well, my guest today is social media influencer Nigel Battle. He is back once again so that we can discuss what is spirituality and what is spirituality to us. So that's what we're going to discuss today. Hey, Nigel, how you doing? How you been since I've talked to you last?
Everything's going really good. I'm busy, and thankfully I'm also staying warm. My heart is going out to everything that is going on in our country right now. It's so hard to not think about. I'm just feeling very grateful and blessed. How are you?
I'm good. Just moving right along slowly again. But I'm well, I should say. I am well because there's power in our tongue. Every time we say something, we can give power to it. So I'm going to say I am well. Because yeah, when we say, "Oh, I'm good," everybody says I'm good, but are they really good? Okay, so I'm going to say I am well. Okay. So
I love it. Switching it up a little bit.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about spirituality and what it means to us, and the difference between spirituality and being religious. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because generationally, we believe different things and we relate to God differently. And it doesn't mean that, the younger or the older doesn't believe in certain things pertaining to the Bible or God or different religions. But we just believe differently based upon our experience. What you say? Do you think some people believe differently because of their experiences?
Definitely. And I can say, since I've been growing up and just going throughout the world, it's been interesting meeting the different types of people that even different types of things, because the older you get and the more different crowds you get around and things like that, different types of people, that's when you really start to realize how many different things people believe. And I think that was the most eye-opening experience of just growing up in general, coming out of that bubble, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you use the word bubble. That's a good way of saying it, because if you grew up in the church and you only relate to the people in the church, I believe that's limitation, because we're supposed to relate to one another. And if it's something that you don't understand, then ask a question, right? And we're supposed to be able to, chat a little bit and learn. What you say, right? Learn about the next thing we don't know about, right?
Absolutely. Being open-minded is probably one of the best features you can have as a human being. It just allows people to feel more accepted no matter what they're kind of going through or what their views might be. It's nice to just kind of be around someone, or even yourself, just be open-minded for everyone around you,
Yes, absolutely. So let me ask you this. What does God mean to you personally?
To me, when I think of God and all of it in general, just it's a peace of mind. It makes me feel secure. It makes me feel, I think spirituality in general is just a way to feel like a hope, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And that's a good way of looking at it, because he is much, much greater than us, and he wants us to look to him for hope, for peace, and all the things that we fall short of. Isn't that something? We can turn to God because as human beings, we fall short of everything. But when we look to him, we get filled up again so that we won't keep falling short. How about that?
Yes, absolutely. I think the whole idea of age is definitely, like I said, it fuels you up that little bit of hope when everything around you physical seems to have failed. There are so many times where I know I personally have turned to prayer, and it's because of those moments that I just continue to believe, because there's something listening in those moments, and that's the only way for it to make sense that things got better from that moment, because I have used prayer and I have You know what I mean? Like,
Yes, absolutely. So let me ask you this. Do you think that this generation, your generation, do you think they have a difficult view of God, or do you think most people your age understand God, I would say, in a according to how you explained it, someone that's greater in prayer, someone to turn to? Or do you think that this generation, do they view God difficult in a difficult way? That's the question.
I think a lot of people still keep to their traditional kind of values and what they know from their parents.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I think with the growth of the internet and the growth of overall woke and open-mindedness of people in general,
Mm-hmm.
they definitely choose to believe more now and choose to believe like different types of religions and spirituality and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been open to that and to open what people do, because it's one of those things where I look at it, and as long as they feel like a connection to something, they are feeling like a goodness from something and using it to their best advantage, then I'm usually like okay with it.
Yeah. What do you think about some people that believe in Jesus, and then another person that's a Buddhist, and another person that's a Hindu, and then they become divided? What do you think about that? That's not a positive.
I really think it's beautiful. I know that sounds so weird, a strange way to say, but I just think the whole idea of Christianity and just all what I know from being a child, and when I found out that other people around the world actually worship different gods and stuff like that, I thought it was beautiful. I think it's really beautiful that in every country, in every different way, it can be done a different way. And like I said, I'm all for the open-mindedness of that.
Mm-hmm.
What it all comes down for me is like a good and evil thing. If I feel like whatever the person is practicing and worshiping is in good energy, then I am totally okay of it. And I think that that's what makes those religions that you just said okay, because those are all things that are about positive nature. And we know about the ones that are not.
Yes.
Those are the ones obviously we stay away from, but the ones that you just listed, those are all like mainstream, things that people do to redeem good energy, which I love.
Yeah, well, just to go back a little bit based upon what I asked you, I wouldn't want anybody to be divided, but I can say that love is love. And, I've come across people who are Buddhists. I must admit that love is love when it comes to God, and I would never debate or try to persuade someone to believe differently, because I just simply believe that God is love. And I just believe that when you have the right energy, the right spirit, you can have a conversation with anyone and learn something about them culturally that you've never known before. I think that also that, you said we must be open. I totally agree with that. I think that people that are not open and look at everything as if it's evil, I think they are the ones that have the problem, because I truly believe that God is love. And when you have a conversation with someone, you can actually compel someone to be a better person just by loving them. I think that the greatest limitation is to judge someone and look at someone in a negative way just because they don't believe. What you say about that?
Oh, I agree 100%. I really, really do. And there's so many probably relationships and things that aren't made out in the world because people go off of maybe that first impression or that first idea that they worship something different, or that they may even believe in something different, or even if they just look different, people will really, really turn the opposite way. So I think being open-minded and being aware that you're open-minded and different from those around you is helpful. It's helpful for just the progress of everyone, all of us as a nation,
Yeah. I used to work with this woman. She was a Hindu, and I never told her what I believed. I never said anything. She just, would have conversations with me sometimes, and of course, she made it plain what she believed. I would ask her questions because I was curious, like, what is the Hindu religion? And she explained it to me. But I never told her what I believed. Never said anything. But one day she came in and she started saying, Jesus, Jesus. She just started saying, Jesus, Jesus, right? And I didn't know why she was saying that. And then all of a sudden she said, oh, that's what you believe. I said, yeah, that's what I believe. And then we started having conversation, about Jesus. And then she said to me, well, I believe in Jesus. I never said a word. I never said nothing about what I believe. She just, like I said, she came in one day and she said, Jesus, Jesus. And And then she said, well, Shrey, I believe. She said, I was just raised culturally, to believe in the Hindu religion. I said, okay. But I guess she thought I was going to say something negative. I didn't say anything negative because she kind of looked at me, in a surprised way, like I was going to say something, but nope, I never said a word. I just smiled and we became good friends. And on the job, we would laugh. And then, of course, if she would go through something, she would sometimes tell me, Shrey, me. But it was a beautiful experience for me because I met someone that was of the Hindu religion. And sadly, prior to meeting her, I was told by others, oh, well, this is who they are and this is what they do. And it kind of gave me a negative perception, but I didn't believe everything that person said until I experienced what I experienced for myself and I learned something different. So it was many, many, many years ago, but it was a beautiful experience for me because she was a beautiful person and we would talk a lot on the job. And I just thought it was so cool. And I thought it was so cool. So like you said, we got to be open-minded and we have to also see people for people because God is love. And at the end of the day, we don't have a right to judge the next person because guess what? We all came into this world a little nutty. What you say?
No, I agree. I feel like we all came in completely the same in a way.
Yeah.
And religion and things like that are kind of a way to, whether where you were born or who raised you, it's all a different way to kind of influence yourself and the people around you and where you were born at. And I think just getting to know all those different ones out there and what you did with your coworker is what like we're preaching right now and what I hope that people continue to do because it takes to get to know someone deeper than knowing them. And we're talking about like religion specifically and spirituality right now, but I want people to think about that as a whole, even when it comes to like skin color and orientation, all those things. Because if we just look past all that stuff and do what you just did with that coworker, that would be ideal for the way to treat her. I think that's beautiful the way you did that.
Yeah, we just have to change how we think because when you see a person you don't know, whether it be a black or white person or a person of any race or religion, you have to just see that person as a human being. And that has everything to do with how you think. But if you don't see that person as a human being and as a human being to love them, then guess what? You're going to revert into a place of something negative and something that has nothing to do with love because God is love. And everything everything that Jesus came to the earth for was for love, It was for love. I'm not trying to preach to anybody, but I must say that there's nothing about Jesus that I could see based upon the historical facts about him. There's nothing about him that was hateful. There's nothing about him that was hateful. So when people talk about races and people talk about different religions and they talk about gay people or they talk about anything in this world that so-called divides us, when they talk that way and they speak from a place of hate and not love, the first thing I start thinking is it's not God, because God, he is a God of love, and everything that he stands for, it begins with love. What do you think about that, Nigel? God is love.
I think that's absolutely true. I mean, from what I know from just being younger, like I said, that was just that person that I turned to that would love you no matter what. And that was my idea from it from a young age, and I took that and I grew with it. I think that's absolutely true, that he is love itself in a way.
So you have a relationship. You see it as a relationship, someone that you turn to, that will answer you, and that when you have a situation that you may be in and you need help, you can turn to him.
Yes, and that's not only to be that I turn to him in traumatic events. Not that I'm not guilty of that, because I absolutely am. But sometimes things are just a matter of good and bad, or light or dark, and sometimes you need advice. It might not be so much of a dramatic cry, but I feel like just an idea of someone to turn to when you're not sure which decision to make, and you need that spiritual guidance. I mean, of course, we have friends and family that we can turn to, but when in terms of that spiritual guidance, that's when it's so important to make sure that that person in that corner in that spiritual way is all good and all loving, because that's what you need to make your decision.
Yeah. So do you ask some questions?
Absolutely. absolutely. I speak aloud. I pray. I feel the energy, and I even though I'm not, and I hear a direct answer, it's a feeling, and that took me so long to understand, like why people prayed in general. You know what I mean? As someone who was a younger kid, I never understood it. You're asking questions and you're talking aloud, but you're not getting an answer, and it took me so long to understand and tap into that myself as an adult and realize that it was all just about a feeling. After you talk aloud and you ask that question aloud, the answer comes to you, but it's within a feeling. It's within the energy in the air. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So let me ask you this. This is a real honest question I gotta ask.
Sure.
So when you do something wrong, I want you to, if you want me to answer, I'll answer as well for myself. But when you do something wrong and you know it's wrong and you go to God, how did you go to him with repentance, or you say you're sorry? I mean, if you don't want to, you can answer however you want to.
Oh yeah, no, I've been very apologetic with God for sure. It got that way only because I have found myself in so many amazing, good, positive situations that I've thanked him for, and I feel like are generally because of him.
Yes.
So when and if I do something wrong, I feel the need to apologize, because I do feel like I may have thrown maybe a negative bone into all the good air that he's been giving me, and it might be my fault. So, I speak to him in those terms, and he's quite aware of my mistakes, and, we're working through it.
That's beautiful. I like the way you said that, because you just described a relationship and not a religion. That's the thing that I love, you know what?
I think it's always been that for me. Now that I think the word religion, I'll be honest with you right now, and I think the word religion has always scared me in a way a little bit.
Oh.
It seemed like a lot of pressure, maybe to be at a church at a time, or do this at a time, or read the Bible at a certain time. The word religion relates to me as a pressure almost. So I always have just gone for a relationship with God in a way, and that's it.
Awesome. And that's exactly why we are talking about this today, because we are talking about what is spirituality to us versus being religious. Because guess what? Religion will make a person, like you just stated, it will make a person afraid. I call it dogma, traditional dogma. And I don't say that to disrespect God. I don't say that to disrespect tradition. I say that because if a person is following all the instructions of the Bible, but have no love in their heart, if a person is following all the instructions of the Bible and they don't know how to be kind, they don't know how to walk in virtue, they don't know how to be honest, they don't know how to treat people, then what benefit is it if they don't have love? What benefit is it? Because guess what? The most corrupt, the most evil person in the earth can walk around and just quote scriptures, but not be filled with any virtue. So having a relationship with God is something that you do daily, and you make knowledge practical when it comes to a relationship. And Nigel, you just said it so well. You said we are working things out.
Yeah.
I love that because, I used to be in a place where I was afraid of God. I would do something, I would just be afraid. I would be out doing my little party, driving all up and down the highway, drinking my little wine and shots and everything. And I would be on my way home, and I was driving through Pennsylvania one day. When I lived in New Jersey, I was driving all the way down the highways to Pennsylvania to party. And one day I was coming home, and I looked at the mountains, and I got scared, and I was scared of God. And I said, what? Why am I scared of God? What is wrong with me? So when I got home, I prayed, and I asked for forgiveness and all that stuff. And then I felt the love of God come to me again. So I kept asking myself the question, why was I afraid of God? So one day I picked up the Bible, and I found this scripture. I can't tell you the address because I don't know it verbatim, but I found this scripture, and it said, perfect love casts out fear, and God loves me perfectly. So I said, I shouldn't be afraid because perfect love casts out fear. You can't be afraid of someone that loves you. How are you going to be afraid of someone that actually loves you? There's no fear. It should not be no fear in the love of God because God loves you perfectly. And so once I got that down in my mind to digest it and understand it, I said, wow, I don't have to be afraid. So when I'm driving home at night, no matter what I've done wrong, no matter how bad and no good I've been, I can go to God and I can ask for forgiveness and I can talk to him because he's not trying to condemn me. He's not trying to throw me under the bus. He's not trying to make me feel bad. He's trying to have a relationship with me. So that's when I realized, you know what? My spiritual life is important versus having a religious life with all these rules. Guess what? I realized, I said, my spiritual life that's it. I have to have a spiritual life, not a religious life, a spiritual life. And so that's how I learned to grow in my spirituality. But Nigel, I like the way you said that. You said this. He said, we are working things out. So let me ask you this. What about like some of your friends? Like, do you ever discuss Jesus with any of your friends or discuss the topic of God with any of your friends?
No, I don't. We don't, and I think that's because it's more personal for me anyway. I don't know how everyone else feels about it. I mean, if someone wants to talk about it, I would be so happy to talk about it. I mean, that's why I'm talking with you right now about it, because it takes someone to kind of be woke about their own personal spirituality before they can speak about it aloud and really discuss it the way we are.
Yes.
And so many people just aren't there yet. They may believe in a certain thing or two, but it's so much more than that when you have a relationship.
Yes.
So it's kind of just my own personal relationship, like so many relationships that I have. I don't go around and I don't tell everyone what happens with all my friends and all my cousins, you know what I mean? And the same way I don't tell them everything that happens with me and God. It's just very, very personal.
Yeah, I agree with that 100% because some people are not there yet, and what you understand, they may not understand, and that's fine too, because when that person or friend or whoever may have a question, you can answer them, right? You can have the answers, and I think that's beautiful too, because we all have a different journey, and we all have a different life with different choices that we're making every day, and all of it's good because we are all learning. And so but spirituality versus being religious is something else, because you said also, Nigel, that following all the rules in terms of being at the church a certain time and all that. What made you feel like that when you referred to God or thought about God? What made you feel like that? If you can identify something, share with me.
When I was a kid and growing up, like the whole idea of like wanting to be a kid and just have fun, church always seemed like something that was very structured. So it never seemed like fun to me. So the idea of worshiping and going, all of that, it just seemed extra and not fun, like from a kid perspective.
Wow.
But now that I've gotten older, like it's changed. But sorry, I lost my train of thought.
It's okay. It's okay. So you think that most young people, they probably view it, younger people, your age and younger, you think they view it like that now, and that's probably why some people don't turn to God?
Yeah, I think, yeah. So, yeah, it might look structured the way I've seen it too. I can also vividly remember, not only along with that structure, but this what I'm about to say might be a little bit too deep, but it is a part of it. I remember growing up, and not only was it a lot of structure and a lot of things to abide by and rules and stuff that I just wasn't all about as a kid, but also I remember the whole idea that possibly in some churches, like priests and stuff could be corrupt. I remember that being a thing while growing up.
Wow.
And I only bring that up because that was my first real idea of like, okay, somewhere that is a place of worship and good and holiness, evil can still get in, and it's because of a human. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that was my first realization of like, I can do, like, and as an adult, after I got over the whole it's not fun thing, as an adult, I realized like I can do what they do there just as I can do it on my own. anyone's schedule and anyone's structure and with anyone that, might not be a good or bad person, you know what I mean? Because that was a realization coming to find out. Like, I remember as a teenager that, like, wow, like, not everybody there might not be a good person. And then that's when you kind of realize that it's just scary. Like, because you immediately think that everyone in the church would be amazingly good. And then I remember hearing certain stories and stuff like that. So, yeah, I just remember wanting to go off on my own at that time and practice what I know and love, but not be involved in, like, a structured place.
Yeah, that's a good point, because when I was much younger as well, I looked at everybody in the church as just perfect. Like, they were just so perfect. I was so naive. And once I grew and started to observe and see things a little different, I realized, I said, these people are not perfect. They're human just like the next person. So I grew into a place of understanding that, okay, a man with a collar, a man that's a place of leadership, he's just a man. He's just a man, just like the next person that may be working at a bar, or the next person that may be driving a bus. A man is a man, a woman is a woman, right? So we all need God. And the thing is this, a person that's in a place of leadership, they have a accountability. Well, now we all have an accountability, to treat one another right and respectful. But I think that because people in the church have a title, sometimes people just look at them different. But at the end of the day, we're all human, and because we're all human, we all can fall short. And so when I realized that, I started to see people different, meaning that if I knew that they had faults, if I knew something about them that people in the church didn't know, I would just love that person anyway, And then I started to question, well, if I can love that leader knowing his faults, if I can love that leader a certain way and love him knowing his faults, why can't that same leader love people that might have certain faults, other people that have faults? And when I saw the hypocrisy, I should say, that's when I said, you know what? You have to really look at God and stop looking, because man is not perfect. No matter who he is, I don't care who he is, where he is, I don't care how many titles he has. Man is not perfect, but you can remember and look to God and know that he is perfect. But man isn't. And sadly, like you said, evil can come into any place, and that's real. We can't be naive and just ignore that fact, because that's a fact. So, but like I said, having a relationship is everything, and that's why we're talking about this, because we're living in a time where people are going through so much, and we just need to be encouraged that God is real and everything that Jesus said is real. And if you are of another religion, guess what? God is love, and we must be tolerant of one another, and we must love one another and treat each other with respect, no matter what we believe. And so that's what we must do. So, Nigel, let me ask you this. Was there a time in your life where you didn't feel that God could be reached? Did you ever feel like that?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, maybe as a kid, maybe just not truly believing it in the way I do now. And that's just not being old enough, not being woke enough. Not truly understanding the energy of it all, and just not being old enough. So I would say, yeah, the time for that would definitely be when I was younger, but that changed as I got older, for sure.
Yeah. Well, how about when you was a kid and you used to come to my house, and this was this was so long ago. We don't want to tell my age, but when you were a kid and you would come to my house, I was just learning about God, and you saw me say certain things or do certain things. We could be honest and transparent with one another here and the listeners. So what did you think when you saw me say and do certain things, not knowing what I was doing at that time? What did you think?
I thought strange. Was definitely like a word that came to my head. But when I was younger, and the way that my thought process is very similar to my thought process now, and it's almost like you can be doing something strange in front of me and even speaking in tongues, which you did, and but I knew you, and I knew your heart, and I knew it then, and I knew it now, and something told me that what you were doing wasn't bad. So although the word strange came to my head, there wasn't any fear or where there wasn't any, like, you know, wanting to hide or anything like that, because
Yeah.
I knew in some way, shape, or form you were doing something positive, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I was much younger at the time, and I had just I was praying more, and I wanted to be a good mom, being a young mom at the time, and I started praying more, and so at the time there was a lot of things I didn't know about God, and of course trial and error. I made some mistakes, meaning that who I am now is not who I was, who you know what I used to be. So man, what a time.
Yeah, no, I definitely remember that though, and you were always very, very into it, and it was,
Yeah.
it was interesting. I mean, I've never seen it other than that, and
Mhm.
I remember you would record them too, wouldn't you? Like record the times and then play. I think that would scare me more than you doing it live.
I don't.
Record it. Was that the thing?
I don't remember. I don't know, but I just remember. Well, at the time, I'll say this: I was praying a whole lot. I mean, like so much. When you come to the house, I would pray over you. I don't even know if you remember that, but I would pray over you. I would just pray.
No, I remember,
I would,
I remember it being like safe. I never thought you were like crazy for that. I thought like pray, like you're trying to help me out, like pray
yeah,
over me.
yeah. Yeah, I would pray over everybody. And so, you know, I was learning about God, and it was certain things I didn't know, but I knew that if I prayed, guess what? I was good. And so as I got older, you know, I still have, faith in God, but as far as like my views and how I am very open-minded to so many different things. Back then I wasn't as open-minded. And I think back then, I think I was somewhat religious. I think because if I compare myself to who I am now versus what I used to be, I think that I was religious. Now I see myself as spiritual. I am spiritual because, you know, I'm very, I'm universal. I'm very open-minded to people on all levels. And, I just don't believe in condemning people. I don't believe in shutting people out. I don't believe in, debating with people about the Bible and debating about who's right and who's wrong. I don't believe in none of that. I just don't believe in that. I believe that we all must stay under the umbrella of love. That's what I believe. And if we are under, huh?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. And if we are under the umbrella of love, guess what? We good. We are well with one another. And so that's where I am in life. And I just believe in that so strongly. And I just encourage others to be the same way. Be open-minded to the next person because we all need God and we all need one another. I mean, look at what's been going on, the pandemic and then everything that happened in Texas. When I saw the news and saw everything going on, I started thinking to myself, wow, we need to pray for them. But I'm glad we're talking about this topic, Nigel, because it's just helping me to learn more and listening to your views. It just makes me smile because I like what you said. We are working it out.
I love it too, and honestly, like I can't wait to share it, like on my YouTube page with once you have the video uploaded with my subscribers, because I feel like within them, I know there's so many different types of people that believe in so many different types of things, and at the end of the day, like at the end of everything we just said, everything is just coming down to love. And if people could just hear this and know that it's okay to individually like what they like, but just be kind, and it all comes down to those good thoughts and that good energy. That's it. Like you can believe anything you want to believe, but just don't be harmful to others. That's all I ask. Like, and I love to be able to preach that, and I love that we're doing this too. It's awesome.
Absolutely. One of the things that Jesus said, he said, "Those that are not against us are with us." That's what he said. And I just want to encourage the listeners. The next person needs you. We need one another, and we must stay encouraged, and we must remember that the earth is a house, and we're all living in the same house. Look at it like that. And we all must stay under the umbrella of love to help each other, to be safe. And at the end of the day, I just encourage you listeners, in the times that we're living in, make sure you just say a prayer, look out for the next person, keep yourself safe, and do what you have to do to stay happy, stay joyful, and stay in that place of peace. And as Nigel said, work it out. work Work it out with God, because Nigel said, look, we are working it out. When things don't go the way you want it to go, or if something, you may not understand about God, ask him a question, but
Yeah.
work it
I
out.
think people are really missing an opportunity to be 100% open with somebody and really, really get things off their chest. And that's your time to really let go. And again, it's like that same idea. Like I remember seeing movies when people would go into the church and go into and have a confessional and talking. You know what I mean? And get
Mm-hmm.
things off their chest.
That's
You
right.
can do that at home. You
That's
can do
right.
that at home on your knees in front of your bed.
That's
And
right.
that's that whole bridge that took me so long to get to, is that everything that people were doing in their places of worship, I can do here on my own. And once I
Yes.
started doing that, I really did see like a turn in just like my mental health and how I felt, because I was getting so much off my chest, so many questions, so much advice, just so many things. It just got better once I opened up that relationship. So I definitely encourage people, whether they have their relationship or not, if they have it and it's somewhat small and they feel like they don't use it enough, I encourage them to turn it up a little bit. Like when I said I'm working it out, I said it in that way because he knows everything. So when I say I'm working it out, it's like when I do something good one day, when I do something bad, and it's just every little thing he knows. So it's just a constant under construction version of myself that we're working on. And I'm just so happy to have him to help me. So
That's beautiful.
I definitely encourage people to open up that relationship if they don't have it,
Yes, absolutely. Because in the midst of rocky situations, I'm gonna tell you this list. God, Jesus. I'm gonna say God, Jesus, God, whatever one you can relate to. I'm gonna say this. He will give you peace. You don't have to walk around in confusion. He will give you peace. And I'm only saying that because he gave me peace in the midst of different situations in my life. I couldn't call a pastor or a priest or somebody else. I had to call Jesus. And so I said it like that in plain words, because God cares about us, and we're living in some serious times. We don't know what's going to happen next. 2020 was a wild year for a lot of us, and 2021 has started, a little rocky already, and we're hoping for the best. But in this time that we live in, we must stay encouraged, and we must seek the one that is greater than us. So, Nigel, I thank you so much, and I love you for being here. And we got to do it again. What you say?
Absolutely. I can't wait. I love that we're here to inspire others and just keep our thoughts in their minds and keep on pushing with your show. You're doing an amazing job, and I love you so much too.
Thank you. And listeners, that's my duty, is to encourage you as I am encouraged, and you have been a blessing to me, and I hope that I can continue to be a blessing to you. And if you need to reach me, you can reach me at sbfavor@yahoo.com via email. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at sbfavor. I also have a YouTube channel at sbfavor. Please click like and click the bell so that you can receive a notification each time there is a new episode of SB Favor Thinking Podcast. And leave me some feedback. If you leave me something negative, guess what? I'm going to ignore you, because I keep my mind focused on the things that are positive. So don't leave me nothing negative. But thank you so much for listening. And Nigel, I can't wait to have you back again.
I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
All right, listeners. Thank you again for listening, and you have a good day.